It's nice to have all of you here. You are the YPO, now they are starting. What I can do while you do your politics, as we agreed, is to talk on some of the important topics which can be also then publicized, especially to start off with foreign affairs, because after I made my speech in Oman, people want to know what the global power situation is. As I said, there will be by 2053 powers, China, India and USA. So our foreign policy must be based on how we work with these countries. We can't be outside that. In this respect, the most important issue now is a sort of a shift in the global power, where USA is working with Russia to bring the Ukraine war to an end, and is being opposed by some of the European countries. This also, what has taken place recently, also has a bearing on Sri Lanka. And I thought I should raise that issue also. You all know the war is, and in the world, the different countries have different views. Some regarded the direct invasion by Russia into Ukraine, which has to be certainly repaired. There are others who treat it as a far more complex issue, and a few who think that Ukraine should be a part of Russia. So it's in this background that this war has gone on, and the war has not stopped. That has been the issue that has concerned us, especially under President Biden. There were attempts to handle this, and Gaza and Taiwan, all of which led to really an increase in tension and the probability of war. Now we find a different situation with President Trump coming in and trying to tackle how to bring the war to an end. Fighting with Russia is not an easy one. These are people who are used to getting bogged down and sacrificing lives to gain their objective. They burned their capital to defeat Napoleon. They sacrificed 1 million to get a 6 months delay in Stalingrad, and they sacrificed 25,000 to go from the Brandenburg Gate to the Reichstag to finish the war off quickly. So it's not easy. So the other schemes has failed. We must see what President Trump is doing. It's important that we try and bring some of these conflicts to an end. Of course, during President Trump's having taken this up, it has not been taken kindly by some of the European powers and President Zelensky. And the other day, President Trump called President Zelensky a dictator for not holding elections. Then some of the people came to Zelensky's defense, saying it's wartime, and both British Prime Minister Starmer and my friend Boris Johnson said they even during the wartime that they didn't hold elections. Now, if you look at the facts, that is not correct. During World War I and World War II, the British put off elections under their constitution. They have an unwritten constitution, but the Parliament Act on 1911 says you can extend the life of Parliament with the support of the House of Commons and the House of Lords. So acting under that is why they certainly extended the life of Parliament. Some constitutions have that. In the case of Churchill, whom they refer to, virtually he turned the constitution upside down because it requires the leader of the largest party to be able to become the prime minister. He was not the leader of the largest party. He belonged to the Conservative Party, the largest party, but they didn't like him. In fact, when Chamberlain had to step down, majority of them backed Lord Halifax, not Churchill. The country backed Churchill, the Parliament has lost its mandate. If not for war, they would have to have elections immediately. The country backed Churchill, and Lord Beaverbrook told him, Winston, you hold them in the palm of your hand, don't go and make a mistake. It was backed by the Labour Party and Attlee. When the Labour Party at its conference sent a reply saying they are not willing to serve under Chamberlain. So actually, Winston Churchill grabbed power. I don't think there was any other instance. On the first day when he came to Parliament, he was cheered by the Labour Party, the Liberal Party and the Conservative rebels. The majority of the Conservatives waited and got up when Chamberlain came and cheered him. This was noticed by certainly David Magason. Magason was the chief whip, and the next day he told them, when I wave the flag, when I wave my handkerchief, as Prime Minister comes, you must get up and cheer. So it was that they called him half-breed American. So this is no comparison to Churchill or what happened there. Similarly, Ukraine constitution says parliament elections need not be held when there's martial law. So that is there for the parliament. The work over the Rada, that's their parliament. And do it, but it's very silent about the president. In America, they have been silent about the elections when there's a war on. So in 1812, during the war with UK, where they came and British burnt the White House, they had the election on time. Similarly, in 1864, during the Civil War, Lincoln and all, they had the elections and Lincoln was re-elected. So if you don't have any, they have no provision, you have to have elections. We went through this issue in 1988. We had both the LTT fighting us in the north and the JVP fighting in the south. Should we put the election off or not? And President Jayawardena said, no, we must hold the election, whatever be the consequence. So we held the elections, a lot of people were killed. President Premadasa got in with a small majority. Mrs. Bandaranaike challenged it in the Supreme Court. She lost. We accepted that. So we went through all these troubles, people being killed, to hold the 1988 election. In 1993, we had provincial council elections, in the process of which both Mr. Lalit Atulat Mudali and Mr. Premadasa were killed. So we lost that also. But we held the elections. In 1994, we lost Mr. Gamini Disanayak and some of the others. In 1999, President Kumanatunga lost her eyesight. So then in 2005, Prabhakaran prevented people from voting. Nevertheless, I didn't go to challenge it. I don't think it should be done. So if there is no there is no provision about putting off elections, then you must hold elections. There's no other way. And we have a country went through that, though we are criticized. And not only that, Tamils who took arms against us, they have come to parliament, into government. The JVP is today running government. So it shows that we have not only held elections, but we have also got them into the system. And they are part of the system. So that is what we have done. Now in Ukraine, they have not done that. So President Trump was correct. They had passed a resolution yesterday. But that does not make it legal. It is not legal. The work on a Rada then must act under the Constitution, because the preamble says people's sovereignty is exercised by the Parliament, and Article 5 says people hold power directly and through bodies of state power. So then they must, I think, they must at least present act to Parliament and get it passed. And if it's, then of course it will be scrutinized by the Constitutional Council. I am not saying for them to give up. They are having a war, they are fighting it with Russia. But they should follow the constitution. Now this is where I have a problem, because we are treated one way and the Ukrainians are treated the other way. In our country, I put off the local authority election, still people could go to the Supreme Court and get an order. Here, everything is silent. They are not acting legally. They should act legally. But all the countries are silent. So we are being treated in one manner, they are being treated in another manner. And we have the resolution on Sri Lanka coming up in September. And the minister was there yesterday or day before. But we should really look at this whole issue now. Why are we being treated differently? We also had a war. We also went through. And the then President, Mahinda Rajapaksa, gave assurance to the Secretary General of the UN, Mr. Ban Ki-moon. We have not fulfilled it, and I say we should fulfill it. What we have, and we took steps in the last year, especially to have, I think with all the consultations, we've agreed on a commission for truth, unity and reconciliation. The other laws are there, we have to implement it. And I still stand by the fact that this commission we should bring to law, helped by Japan and South Africa. And then we should carry out what the inquiries and investigations by ourselves. But looking at what has happened, I don't think we should ask the High Commissioner for Human Rights to come into this. We should keep it out. We have Japan, we have South Africa. If EU or any other country that is represented here wants it, certainly. International Bar Association, ICJ wants, yes. But I don't think we should go because they are playing politics there. So what we should do, in my view, is now America has dropped out of the Human Rights Council. So the power balance has to change, and the BRICS will have more power. So we should talk with the BRICS and in the next take up the issue that there has to be a fundamental restructuring of the High Commissioner's office, especially the Asia division. They are playing their own game. They are trying to promote the people they want, the organizations they want. And they are just keeping an attack on Sri Lanka. The other day I met the BBC, who wrote a book, Francis Harrison. She said 40,000 had died. When I told her she had lied, she said, I didn't say 40,000 had died. So this all this was started on the basis that 40,000 has died. So I think we as Sri Lanka should get together, fulfill our commitments. And if we want to ask other countries to come, but we should keep the Human Rights Council up. But I'd expect the government, and I think rest of us, will look at what steps should be taken before this resolution comes before the Human Rights Council. You can't have two different criteria where we do everything and we are blackguarded every day. And they just don't hold elections, they violate the constitution when they can do it constitutionally and delay the president's election. And they get away. It's completely silent. In my view, this resolution doesn't this. They have to go back, pass a law and cover the period then, which means from March 2024, there has been no legal president. They must take that. But this shows that there are double standards, and I think we should now take action on this. So I thought so my first discussion with you is on this issue. You are lawyers, now you all should take it up. Go to the Bar Association and tell them. Okay.